we're good. All right. So, good morning. We'll call to order at 7:31. If we just stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right, first order of business is recommended actions, the approval of the minutes from November 7th meeting. I know Jenny sends them out ahead of time. I'll be looking for a motion to approve the minutes of November 7th. So moved. Moved by Mr. Lucy, second by Mr. McCaffrey and Mr. DeFore. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is an old business item. It's a discussion action item on bid 240023. Owner's Hazardous Material Consulting. This was from the last meeting where ECM was a change order, I think, for $8,470 because of the demolition plan for Drum Rock. So we asked Mr. Bates to go back and look at the RFP to see how it was written, to see if we were in fact a little vague. I think Jenny shared that, I think, right? Yeah, Jim shared that. So, John, you want to?
Yeah, looking back in hindsight, I think that RFP was written in July. I look back and I think that because of the fact that the toll gate campus has multiple buildings on it that would need to be inspected, we should have in hindsight listed each building specifically to avoid any confusion. So our feeling is that, it's a valid claim that the RFP was a little bit ambiguous, and if we were to do it again, we would have been more specific. So it seems valid. It's relatively small in some, and it's still, with that addition, we're still $20,000 lower than the next lowest bidder. So
the next lowest bidder read the same RFP.
They read the same RFP. Yeah.
Right. So, okay. Are there any questions for Mr. Bates on this, or for anyone, I guess I should say? Okay. I get it. I agree, Mr. Bates. I think when we write RFPs, I like to give a maximum of 20, like I'm 5. So I've had 5-year-olds, and you have to be specific. Everything has to be laid. Otherwise, you didn't tell me that. So, all right. So if there are no other questions, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the 8,400.
It has not. No.
And that'll start. I made a motion. A motion to approve by Mr. McCaffrey. Second by Superintendent Danbrook. Any more questions before we call the vote? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next, project administration. We have no releases. We're going right to change order reports. So the first one is Garofalo and Associates, Inc. Mr. Gottberg.
This is additional work required by the FAA for a site survey. They're looking for very specific coordinates. So it's a additional work for $2,080 for the survey required by FAA at Pilgrim. This has to do with field lights, height, all the above. Mr. Travis may have more information.
Does the project include all permits to be addressed, obtained by the design team initially? This is essentially a permit.
Right, but if it's additional work beyond what was required.
But is it? It's a permit. Was the architect required to obtain permits to build a school?
Permit, but how would you know what that would require? If they're requiring and say, we need this now, how would you know that?
Did the RFP lift all the permit types then, and this one was not listed?
I believe they were hired as consultants for work as needed. Steve?
Yeah, no, we don't carry this type of consultants. We carry standard consultants. All these fall under the owner, like the survey, geotech, testing, all that package is the owner's responsibility, including like commissioning and all that. So it's not a standard permit that you need on every project. Yeah.
We're carrying a separate line item under the owner's soft costs for permit. For surveying. So
okay.
Do we anticipate any issues with the height of the lights?
No, no, I think FAA will grant it.
Just a little more context. So they had asked for, FAA, after the initial review, had asked for a 1A survey, which Garofalo has provided, that has been submitted to the FAA's website. It's currently under review. They call it an aeronautical study. They have to review every item that is above a certain height above sea level, I guess we'll say. So that includes the athletic field lighting. It also includes the parking lighting in the building itself. So there's 3 separate aeronautical studies ongoing by FAA for those 3 items. And that was initiated by receiving this survey from Garofalo.
Okay. Any other questions for either Mr. Guglielmo or Mr. Goffard? Okay. Hearing none, looking for a motion to approve Garofalo and Associates change order for $2,080. So moved. Moved by Mr. Lucy, seconded by Mr. Kravitz. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next one, GZA, Geoenvironmental for Tollgate High School, in the amount of
$8,900.
$8,900. Who's this, Mr. Goffard?
This is for additional test pits required, for the metal building, and the repositioning of that CTC work so that we can save millions. We're looking for the new, where we're gonna locate that new building adjacent to the current tech building. We hadn't planned to go there, so a few more test pits to make sure we know what we're getting into before we get into it.
So this is the material, the marine trades program that's gonna have its own separate, dedicated building. Yeah. Okay. Any questions for Mr. Gottberg?
Have they done the work yet?
Yeah.
So they won't environmental issues.
They've done that, yes.
No, it's not as bad. There's, you're always fine. You're a little bit of an outcropping.
Yeah.
But nothing major. Mike had been out there. Do you want to expand a little bit on that, Mike?
Yeah, I didn't have too much to do with the location and depth of these test pits. I did more of the for par. But as Steve could probably touch on what they were trying to accomplish and what they found based on the grid system, how many pits they did.
Yeah, they did 4 test pits at the metal building location. And there was some rock, but bedrock was further down than we thought. So it's not going to be a very deep excavation there. For the foundation for the metal building, we're only going down about 3'4" for that. So it's better than we thought it was. We thought that the entire hill was all rock and ledge, but it's not.
Was this mostly for ledge, not environmental?
It was for ledge.
Okay.
Yeah, it was for the foundations for the metal building.
Okay.
We found that the bedrock was down about the elevation like 168, and the grade is already at 169. So and then the hill goes up all the way up to like 175, and we thought that was all ledge, but it wasn't. So it's a good thing that we found the ledge down at the 168, 169 level. So it's less excavation that has to be done.
Take those little victories that we can. Superintendent?
Steve, is there a report? I know in the paperwork, it says there's gonna be a brief report completed.
Yeah, Steve, did you receive the report yet?
Yes, I did. I forwarded it to John. Yeah,
So we can have
forward
it to the next committee meeting.
Yeah, I can forward you a copy, Steve. I just got it like last Wednesday afternoon.
Any other questions for anyone on this? Okay, hearing none, looking for a motion to approve GZA environmental for $8,900. Moved by Mr. Kravitz.
Second.
Second by Superintendent Danbrook. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next one is Rhode Island Analytical.
I'd like to table this one.
On table list.
Yeah, I need to have a conversation with them and Allberg. If you go to the first page of the line item, it says that there was a no-show by the abatement contractor, so I have a question about whether we should be paying for that.
Okay, but we'll table that. Yep. No objection to tabling that. Okay. Okay. Next, item D, Greenwood Mechanical. This is Allberg Construction, Greenwood Mechanical, PCO number 11 and 12R.
Yeah, number 11, I thought we had brought to the committee before. but we don't have a record of it, so we're bringing it forward again. In the rear storage room, where the gas meter is, and we have a gas water heater. They're not planned to be heat back there, but since there's water back there, we had to add a thermostat, the DVC valve, to heat that area. So $4,943.
And you want to take them individually?
Yes, please.
All right. So we look for a motion to approve PCO 11 for $4,943.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lucy, second by Mr. DeCourt. Any questions for Mr. Gothberg or any other team? Okay, hearing none. Call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, the 12R1, $3,371.
This is for additional electrical work to facilitate other trades in the documents. There was a pre-construction walkthrough, pre-bid. Anything that could be seen was identified and included in the bid, but these were in areas that were unable to be seen, hidden behind existing ductwork, in a couple of areas. So it was reviewed by the architect and the engineers and approved on their end, and we agreed with it, $3,371. Seek your approval.
All right. Looking for a motion to approve PCO 12R1 for $3,371.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lucy, seconded by Mr. Kravitz. Any questions for Steve or? Okay, call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next one, Holland renovation, PCO 6, 7, 8, and 9.
We'll take these individually
Yeah,
also. The first one is a large one. It's above the ceiling where we actually couldn't see what's above a hard ceiling. There was piping that was covered in asbestos pipe insulation. So we had planned for it, it was removed. Somehow it got missed on the plans, and the re-insulation of that water pipe was not included. So we sought a price for it. And then we did a price check on that by seeking another company to check it. This is $10,000 less. We would have had to pay for it no matter how we did this. It should have been included in the plans. It was missed, but the price is good, and we would have had to pay for it in the bid or as a change order. I'm happy to answer any questions on that, and I'm sure the architects are also.
Let's make the motion first and then we'll. Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve PCO 6 for $37,235.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Holmes. I'll second. Any questions? Questions for anyone?
That includes the abatement and the
No, that's just
re-insulation.
the re-insulation. There's over 1,500 linear feet of pipe in it, including elbows.
So that pipe wasn't visible anywhere at a terminus
That was above a hard ceiling.
above a ductwork, you said though.
No, this was above a hard ceiling. I said ductwork, I misspoke.
Okay.
You mentioned this at the last meeting.
Well, there's two things. There'll be another coming where we could not, the pipe was actually on one side of the corridor as opposed to the other. And there's a lot of rework of the water pipe that's going to be done on a time and materials basis, but this is for the re-insulation of that pipe. That was not included in the plans.
But you said that this, how'd you say it earlier? You said that this would have, had you known about it,
We would have been paying.
you would, it still would have been on us anyway.
And so what we did was.
It would have
we-
been built into the original bid.
Right, so what we did was we did a price check on it and not take this number as face value, and the number that came in was 48,000 opposed to 37. So we feel that it's a fair number.
Okay. Any other questions for Steve or anyone else?
So the pipe was insulated, so it was for, what was its purpose again?
This is water pipe, this is
Yeah.
domestic water.
And what diameter was it?
Well, it goes from, there's.
The diameter.
You know, some are 4-inch,
Wow,
2-inch, 1/2 inch.
and it's covered, so it's.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, it's a
It's
lot
not
of
like
pipe.
it's
and it's not like it's, and there's a lot of it. A lot of elbows.
I mean, it's about 1,500.
I'm asking from the perspective how you miss a pipe that size, you know,
Oh,
that's.
it wasn't
I
missed.
get it, yeah.
It was just not, should have been caught, it wasn't caught, but we would have had to pay for it anyway. And that's why, when you look at some of these things, you have to understand that if it was in the bid, it would have been that same way.
Any other questions for Mr. Goffberg or anyone else? All right, looking for, call a vote. All in favor of PCO 6? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, PCO number 7, $4,706.
As you know, most of these projects that we're doing, when we remove the unit ventilators, we add book shelving on the exterior walls. What we did on this one, we were looking at 18-inch book shelving like we did at Sherman. We dropped it down to 13-inch to save substantial money, over $20,000. But what that did was that exposed a section of flooring that did not have tile on it. So we have to cover that, obviously, put finished floor on it. So it's $4,708, $6, which is, there's still substantial savings on the bookcases. So we thought this was an intelligent way to go.
All right, looking for a motion to approve PCO number 7 for $4,706.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lutz, seconded by Mr. Kravitz. Any questions for Steve or anyone? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Steve, PCO number 8.
At Holloman, one of the main corridors, when you come in, the main entrance, you come down and you look out on the courtyard, there's a large window wall that sits on a short brick knee wall, called a shin wall, and a knee wall. Almost a couple feet. However, once the windows came out, we found that it was 2 wadies of brick that wasn't solid. There was nothing in between. Brick was mortar joints was cracked. It wasn't not a solid wall. I don't know how it got built the way it did. So it needs to be repaired and infilled and solidified. So to do that, it is $7,461.
Okay. All right, we're looking for motion to approve PCO number 8 in the amount of $7,461.
I'll make it.
Moved by Mr. Kravitz, second
Second.
by Mr. Lucy. Any questions for Steve?
Question for the
Mr. McCaffrey.
onboard invoice, 1% insurance, 1.25% ground charge. What is that?
And that's standard.
I just-
Every time they add to the contract, they have to increase those. And that's part of their contract.
Okay, any other questions?
I just see it on the invoice.
Nope, it's not, you'll see it on every change order, no matter who the contractor is.
Any other questions for Steve? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. PCO number 9 in the amount of $5,423. Mr. Guy.
When we got into the data closet and removed, most of the way they ventilated the building was through exhaust fans. And in that area, once we pulled that ductwork out, there are openings, that needed to be refilled that nobody saw. We couldn't see it, the architect couldn't see it, so, to fill those in and make those walls solid and make them, bring them up to code, create a firewall, rated wall. It's $5,423.
Okay, looking for a motion to approve PCO number 9 in the amount of $5,423.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lucy, second by Mr. Kravitz. Any questions for Steve? So Steve, let me ask you this. That was a data closet, so 40 years ago, it probably wasn't a data closet. 'Cause you didn't
No,
have
it was
computers,
a
so-
book closet and
Right. So when that work gets done, would it have been done under different code? if it was done
Codes were
40,
different in
35 years ago.
1955, were they not?
Was a code?
No, but even in the eighties, right?
Yeah,
So
she wore
whenever
that
they started
building
putting,
code.
using that space for data and you were putting stuff in, right? Shouldn't have
But
been other
the
things.
ductwork's still there, so you're not seeing what's there. And that's the problem with a lot of this stuff, is everything's hidden. So unless you do some demolition work to open everything up, and which is disruptive to the school, and then you gotta patch it up.
No, I'm just wondering,
You
it was
you're
shortcut.
gonna run into these things on these buildings.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. All right, next is, Oakland Beach renovation. This is for EW Berman. PCOs 25R1, 27, and 45.
Okay, 25.1, if you remember a few months ago, we were discussing the temporary power generator charge, and we felt that, they were charging too much. So we reviewed everything, and the engineer looked at it, and we came to an agreement, so we knocked, a little more than
5,000.
yeah, $5,500 off it. We got it down to 13,416. So we seek your approval for the revised number, $13,416.
And that's on us? That's
on us.
okay. All right. Looking for motions to approve PCO 25.1 for $18,903. Moved by Mr. Kravitz, second by Superintendent Danbrook. Any questions for Steve or the architect engineers, anybody? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, PCO number 27 in the amount of $35,131.
So, we reviewed this, we brought it forward before, reviewed it again. The owner does own this. Moving forward, we have changed the specs so that it is the responsibility of the contractor to supply the temporary heaters. We will, since it's our infrastructure, whether it be gas, we will pay for the fuel. However, we do own it on this. We reviewed it multiple times, multiple ways, but so we seek your approval for the temporary heaters, for the rental, $35,131.
Okay. Let's move it and second and ask questions. Okay, looking for motion to approve PCO number 27 for $35,131. Moved by Mr. Holmes, second by Mr. Lucy. Any questions for Steve? Okay, Steve, so when you say that specs haven't changed moving forward, that means what?
It's gonna be included in the bid price, so we don't change orders.
For any other
yeah,
work that we do?
right, so they will have to give us a number if we do this again to rent the heaters in advance, so we know what the cost is.
Are you comfortable with this number? I mean,
Yeah, that's why it's 4 months.
yeah.
We've looked at this,
So how many heaters are we talking? Like what?
several.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a 66,000 square foot building. You had to hook up gas lines to it. So you had to repipe the fuel, run it. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, about every 10,000 square foot, we had a temporary heater. And you had to duct them outside because they were down.
So we changed the spec going forward, but is it standard is that a standard thing you put in a bid, the owner, that's on the owner?
Fuel is usually on the owner because if you're gonna run it off electric, you're gonna run it off of gas. Right.
Yeah, that's
You're
your
running off our
electric.
infrastructure, so we're not gonna switch over,
Is this
utility.
happening though because of schedule delay, let's say? No, okay.
No, we're doing, we did
Yeah.
the same, we got the same thing going over at Holland, but we changed the specs.
But it's not like it was, could have been done during the summer and the contractor
No,
didn't
this
perform on
is-
time and,
No, these are very large projects that take longer than 6 months.
Any other questions for Steve or the Bosha? All right, hearing none, call the all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. The last one is PCO number 45 for $2,869, Steve.
Once again, this is a code issue, too much wiring on all the breakers, so we had to split the wiring and, we put an RFI on it. reviewed by the engineers and architects. Every time we open something up that was done years ago, we end up paying for it.
Ingenuity.
Making it right.
Yeah.
So we seek your approval, and I offer my apologies.
All right, so looking for a motion to approve PCO number 45. Moved by Mr. Bowles, seconded by Mr. Kravitz. Any other questions for Steve? All in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carries. Okay, we're on to the consent payment authorization. First one up is agenda number 5A, Allborg, application 2 for the Holland Reservation for $2,130,993.
Allborg is at least a month ahead of schedule. Rooftop units are in place, windows arrive shipped on the 15th of December, which is 3 months early, which is pretty amazing. We're in good shape over there, and they're moving, well-organized project. We work very closely with them and the architect, make sure we're moving forward and there aren't delays on this. We're very pleased. This job is going very well. Seek your approval for the $2,130,993.
Okay, any questions for Steve on that? Steve, on these projects, I know, I think I mentioned it before, at some point, like Oakland Beach is almost completed, right? So at some point at a future meeting, you report to us what our budget was, where we came in, right? On the overall project, you know, components of the project, you know, they could come in higher low. So, if we, as long as the projects are done, or I'm just wondering if maybe we just have like touch points, like here we are with Holland so far, where this month through the project and we're still on budget or whatever, just so. we'd have some- Yeah, so we can do that, Jen. Yeah. So then that becomes a public document too. Okay. All right.
Chairman,
yes.
I normally carry like a percentage of, of change orders. And I think particularly for Auckland Beach, despite all the things that have been going on, I think pretty good.
Yeah, so this just, we'll put that down on paper so we know, you know, if we had 2% or 3% and we came in at 1.5, you know, as long as we're not shooting high, right? You know, saying it's 8%, we come in at 5, so we did a great job. So, okay. All right, so looking for motion to approve Allborg, application 2. So moved by Mr. Lucy, seconded by Superintendent Danbrook. Any other questions for Steve? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next, items B and C, Enixter Inc., Clock Security. Items B and C for $1,004.06 per total $2,008.12.
So, we have a proprietary keying system. So every time we change out doors and hardware, which is part of the building envelope projects, we change out cylinders and key cores. So we buy them direct because they are proprietary to our key system. So seek your approval that we do this. We try to buy enough ahead so that we can get the keys, get the cylinders in place. So
They have the removable core? Yeah, double core.
yeah.
All right, so looking for a motion to approve items 5, B, and C in the amount of $2,008.12.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lucy, seconded by Mr. McCaffrey. Any further questions? And hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, items D and E, application 7 from Dimeo for Pilgrim High School and Tollgate totaling $42,500.21.
This is the monthly billing for Zimeo's work. And they're working hard, and I have no issues. John or Chris?
No, we feel they're earning their fee. Services include cost estimating, construction schedule development, phasing, logistics planning. They're attending pre-permitting meetings and all design meetings. It's deserved. You'll note the $23,300. That additional amount is for the monthly modular classroom rental at the CTC building. So,
Right, okay. All right, any questions for Steve or anyone on Dimeo? Okay, looking for a motion to approve items 5, B, and E totaling $42,521.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Holmes. Seconded by Mr. Lucy and Mr. Kravitz. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, next up, items F and G for E.W. Berman. F is $115,797.40 for the Oakland Beach facade. We'll do one at a time, okay?
Okay. Yeah, they are, in good shape there. They're doing the weather, they're waiting for a little warmer weather for next week to continue to, acid wash down the new brick, which is this, that holds up the windows, coming around to the front. But they're doing the best they can with the weather they have, so no problems here.
So is that masonry work completed except for the washing, the acid washing?
What's that?
The masonry is complete except for just the acid washing.
Yeah, they're working on the, tying in the roof cap, the edge metal and blocking. They're just finishing that up.
I know about that. My father was a bricklayer. I played with the acid once, got mad at. Yelled at. I was real little. All right, so, if there are no other questions, looking for a motion to approve item 5F for $115,797.40. So moved by Mr. Bowl, seconded by Superintendent Danbrook. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, item G, $77,268.62. Mechanical and building envelope at Oakland Beach.
You know, they're because the emergency brick repair, it slowed the windows down. So they can, you know, so they still have work that they're doing. So there'll be small invoices until we can finally get the same finished.
Okay. Any questions for Steve on that? Okay.
How long are they with the window, Steve?
They are done except for where the brick work is. All right, they're coming around as you face the building. They're gonna start coming around that left-hand side. There's a small courtyard in the back. They'll come around there, come on the left-hand side. There's that arch window. So that one door, and then they'll come along the front as the staging comes down. And they have to wait for the brick staging to come down, otherwise they can't get their windows in.
All right, looking for motion to approve item G for $77,268.62.
So moved.
Moved by Superintendent Danbrook. I'll second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next, item H, left field for $110,000. Steve,
They're earning their money.
that's the standard monthly,
Their monthly invoice.
Right.
They are earning their money.
questions for Steve or left field? All right, so hearing none, looking for a motion to approve item H in the amount of $110,000.
So moved.
Moved by Superintendent Danbrook, seconded by Mr. Kravitz. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, items I and J, Rhode Island Analytical, totaling $5,417.50. We can take both of these together. It's a small.
Yeah, these are their invoices for this could be their last, for the, testing and any paperwork they had to do. So, this is for the testing and air testing and all of that.
Is the walk elevator done and operating?
Hopefully by end of, we get out of this meeting, it should be done. Well, oh no, it's 12 o'clock. They moved that on 12. The elevator inspector, which I believe there's one or two out, right? One this week, maybe? Maybe. So he's coming between 12 and 1. We'll have the fire alarm superintendent there. Somebody from Al's team will be there. And, we should be good.
All right.
The
Elevator inspectors are state.
The elevator company had said they would get this project done in 10 days. It is now December. So, that's all I can tell you is that I will not recommend Schindler again. So.
All right.
They have their ups and downs.
Yeah.
You push their button.
Thank you.
Oh my God. All right, hey, it's recorded for posterity. All right, so looking for a motion to approve Rhode Island analytical items I and J totaling $5,417.50. Moved by Mr. Bowles, seconded by Mr. Kravitz. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, next, item K, Som Architecture, $703,958.50. Building Heights Deposit.
No issues. They're doing a very good job.
Okay. Any questions for Steve or left field? Or on that one? All right, hearing none.
Are we still within budget in terms of design?
So,
So looking for motion to approve item K for Som Architecture, $703,958.50. Moved by Mr. Kravitz, seconded by Mr. Decort. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Subcommittee and Associates, items L through R totaling $13,577.55. Steve, you want to just do these as a group?
yeah, we're doing it. This is for the small, the smaller bond projects. Once again, they're earning their money on these, so no problem.
All right, any questions on any of these for Subcommittee? All right, hearing none. I'm looking for motion to approve items L through R. Moved by Mr. Kravitz, second. I'll second. Seconded by Mr. Holmes and Mr. Decort. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Item S, Subcommittee and Associates again, totaling $797,445 for Colgate High School.
We are in good shape here. SD is in. There were a couple of comments that we have answered them and waiting for approval on SD, so we go ahead with DD. So they are working hard to get this forward and come up with some really good ideas to save us some money. So once again, they're earning the money.
Okay. Any questions for Subcommittee or Steve?
Just
Or left
a
field?
similar question as it looks like the remaining budget for design for Negotiate is 378K. Is that going to get us to the finish line?
You're talking just for the design development phase?
Yep.
Yeah, this brings us to 75% design development, and we'll be finished with design development at the end of this week.
Okay.
So we didn't bill anything last month, that's why that number.
Gotcha.
Any other questions for anyone? Okay, so hearing and looking for motion to approve item S, $797,445. Moved by Mr. Kravitz, second. Second by Mr. Decort. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, items T through Y for Stephen Turner Inc., totaling $2,692.50.
This is for their commissioning work on all the HVAC projects. I think they bill monthly, so they should be done with women, maybe a little bit more, but Sherman, they went back and looked at some other things, so it should be wrapped up there, maybe one more invoice there. So we're in good shape.
Any questions for Steve on any of that? All right, hearing none, looking for motion to approve Stephen Turner items T through Y for $2,692.50.
So
Moved by Superintendent Danbrook. Second. Second by Mr. Bowl. Any further questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, Z, Suburban Sales and Service for $835.
When we did the new gas service over at Oakland Beach, Suburban Sales was brought in to do the hole coring that was needed through the 18-inch wall. Since Suburban Sales is a vendor of the district, we took this on to save a few $100s rather than run it through Delta as a change order. We thought it was prudent to do that, so we seek your approval for $835.
Any questions for Steve on that? Hearing none, looking for motion to approve item Z for $835. Moved by Mr. Bowl, seconded by Mr. Decort. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, items AA through D, Signet totaling $3,119.
As a committee, if the committee knows, a little while ago, we brought forward a bid for Signet to do the connection to the Vicata system as we put in our new doors. This is for all the projects through that bid. that we do on a time and material basis to do the connection from the automatic door hardware card swipes to the Verkada system. So they've been doing good work quickly and efficiently. I'm very, very pleased. So $3,119.
Okay, any questions for Steve on that? Pretty easy. Yeah, looking for motion to approve, sign it, AA through D. Moved by Mr. Kravitz, seconded by Mr. Court. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, tie and bond, in the amount of $3,375.
I did defer it to Mr. Bates.
This is the final billing for the phase 1 environmental site assessment and soil evaluation for both sites. That's the public records portion of the assessment. I would suggest we table this until next month. We don't technically have the final reports. So I'd like to have those final reports in hand, and then we can vote next month.
Okay, any objection to the table?
Are there environmental issues at all?
I don't see any substantive environmental issues, but we do have to do some testing to confirm it.
Is it mandatory to do a phase 2? If the phase 1 is not suspect of any?
There's enough to do a phase 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's enough warrants.
Enough question.
There's enough questions to phase 2 and be federal school citing laws. It's just cover all of our bases. We don't want to be in a position where it's March, we're trying to mobilize and they say, wait a second, where's your stage 2?
If you look at Tollgate, because there's so much ledge, there's concern about radon. We do testing in the existing building and the levels are okay, but they're high enough so it warrants moving ahead with, doing that in the building location and then some other borings that they want to do. There's more borings at Pilgrim than there are Tollgate because of potential issues there. And that's from, parking lot runoff, that type of stuff. And that's more the issues that we're dealing with.
Well, we need a radon extraction system at Tollgate?
We do, that's one of the reasons for voting. Okay, we have, there's a radon abatement here. There's one at Sherman, there's one at Green. So we have buildings throughout the district where we have, radon abatement. So you guys need to say,
Yeah, we do
Great
anticipate
sites
that.
for schools.
It's on ledge, so.
And there's no granite countertops, huh?
maybe Corey, but no granite.
Yeah, okay. All right, so we're gonna table tie and bond. Okay. All right, so now we're on to new business. First item, discussion, capital and construction project update for Mr. Gottberg and Mr. Iafredi.
Right, you want to do Oakland Beach first?
Yeah, Steve, Mr. Guthberg touched on, where we are with the windows. I'd say we're about 75% done. What we have left is the front facade, work that has to get completed before we can take the station down and finish the windows. So the window crew at Advantage has been fantastic. They're really easy to work with, job well done. So it's just trying to, close up those loose ends and get out of that building. So I think we're grinding towards the first of the year to get complete there.
Mr. Chairman, you had spoke earlier that they're waiting for the brick to be washed. This isn't down, they're not gonna be charged for downtime, right? Because they're not moving along.
No, I think when we did that change order, we pushed that really hard, so we would miss the winter conditions. So they've jumped off and done other jobs elsewhere, so they haven't tried to whack us. And Advantage has been really good. They were able to move to another job while they were delayed by the windows, so everybody's been extremely helpful. It could have been much more difficult than I thought it was gonna be, but it wasn't. Okay, over at Warwick Neck. We're just about wrapped up there. Once again, the elevator company just seemed to take forever. Site work is complete, except for they have to do some hydro seeding in the spring. This was too late to do it. We did put down some sod instead of mulch after consulting with facilities. And that worked out really well. Mulch seems to be a maintenance issue. So we're happy with that. And I think the project is good. I've contacted the DOJ, Department of Justice, since there's the one that drove this project. And they're aware that we should be done by Christmas, hopefully by the end of today. And so we're good there. Green building is really not part of this, but we are done over there. Got a couple minor punch list items. The new front entrance went in. We had a little problem with the automatic door hardware, but we were able to resolve that. It turned out to be a adjustment screw that was not included in the instructions, so we got it figured out. It's working fine. Greenwood is done. We had a couple issues with some heat, but it's more controls. But Mike dealt with some of that yesterday, and we believe we have that worked out well.
I think it's more of a set point issue rather than mechanical in nature, so we're all set.
Kiln project, just for general information, we should have that, be able to turn those over on Monday.
Yes.
We're hoping, just waiting for the
The final
mechanical,
say, yeah.
mechanical inspector to come and give us what we need. And then we should be able to turn those over. Our teachers are chomping at the bit to get in those rooms.
They are.
Holloman is in very, very good shape, as I've said before. I'm very, very pleased with the way that's going. So I think we're in good shape. And then we'll be meeting after this meeting. We're going to have a quick meeting with Mr. Guglielmo, Mr. Cagno, and we will figure out where we're going to go with the building envelope projects. And how we're going to move forward with those, just the doors at this point, so we can get going on those and get those back out to bid.
I have one question. I think I mentioned it to you at the school committee meeting. But when we bid the Harlem, the Open Beach, and the Sherman projects, windows didn't come in that whacked out, right? So
I can't,
what changed?
Steve and I can't.
I don't know what's changed all of a sudden. Windows now are.
It wasn't that bad at Oakland Beach either, so don't know. Is it materials? Is it just greed? I'm leaning towards greed and, $3.5 million over budget. We knew we'd be over budget, but we didn't think it'd be 3.5.
Yeah, it just struck me as, it hit me that night. We had done 3 other schools and we didn't have the same scale of this issue with windows. Now all of a sudden, and everything's supposed to be getting better. Well, they say, materials costs and then.
These are hurricane windows, but that adds a little bit, but not that much.
Yeah, but Oakland Beach was hurricane windows too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah,
I
I
keep
don't know,
looking at it.
building trades people, I mean.
It doesn't
Interesting
seem to
question
be,
to me.
it doesn't seem to be the contractors. It seems to be more material suppliers and manufacturers. That's where it seems to be.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, yes, quite.
All right, any questions for, is that the last of them? Okay, any questions for Steve or Mike on any of those? All right, so next item is the discussion of high school project update pro left fields. John and Chris.
So I'll start, for the December report, I think we want to highlight specifically pages 5 and 6. We tried to break out a project summary for you to let you know the total estimated cost is at the end of schematic design for both projects. That's on the top of page 5. And we also wanted to make the committee aware of the breakdown of the athletic field scope, stage 2 design versus the current design. On page 6 to see the athletics and PE, what's proposed now versus what's existing at the current schools, and also the auditorium proposed, what we have in the drawings as of today versus what the buildings currently have. So I think it's important for the committee to understand that. Again, this is a snapshot in time of where the projects are as of today in terms of budget and scope.
Okay. Questions for, well, do you want to continue on your you have anything else to add to this update?
Well, I think the superintendent had a question about this.
Yeah.
Specifically.
I was just curious why Toby, has so much more square feet for the athletic and PE program.
The proposed versus the, yeah, you're talking proposed square footage
Opposed, yeah,
specifically.
17,241, opposed to Pilgrim, 15,400.
Looks like most of it's the gym.
Yeah, the gym's a little bigger. What's not included in Pilgrim is that walking Carter area. So I think if you added that in, you're basically equal.
Have that.
No.
No.
Yes, I noticed those same things. Yes, all right. So these numbers, that is proposed, is it still in the proposal phase
When I guess what,
for
you know,
Pilgrim?
in terms of how I labeled it proposed, we'll call it current design. I think that's, it's more clear.
Well, there'd be discussions, if the administration wants to have discussions with you, they'll have discussions with you, so, okay. I see that, and then,
John, on the Pilgrim Auditorium, the proposed is 7,500, existing is 7,017. But you're increasing the size, but you're chopping the seats down by,
Seats get smaller.
yeah.
Yeah, there's probably there are different reasons for it, maybe accommodating the appropriate number of handicap seating.
Providing a better platform. There's more technology required, better ADA code, better egress.
Told they picked up seats, Pilgrim lost seats.
so if you wanted to add seats, you wanted to add 90 spaces for 90 100 bleacher seats, right?
In the gym?
In the auditorium. I'm sorry, that's it, seats in the auditorium, right? Is it possible to increase the seating capacity in the auditorium without changing the footprint of your auditorium?
No,
So you could,
it's, they're tight as they are. The aisles are code compliant.
well, no, I
If we
mean,
had
it's,
to add seats, we would have to elongate the auditorium. Another, every row is another 3 feet. So you'd have to extend it another 3.
no, I know, I mean, it's been said, that some people said, well, the auditorium can't fit the student body, auditoriums can never fit the entire student body.
Yeah.
It never could.
No.
So that was never, so that can't be an issue, right? So the question is, would the principal's administration be comfortable with, 710 kids at a time? Because typically, from my recollection, is when you have events, you have a couple of classes where you never have the entire student body.
If you double it, right, say it's 2 seatings, that's 14 versus 20, right? If you have 1,250 students,
Right.
you can still do
Yep.
2 seatings.
Yeah, so everything just has to be explained.
Yep.
So,
When I was in high school, we would have it done, 3 to 4 seatings
yeah,
because of all the students that we had. My class alone had 705 students.
those things are gone. Yeah. There's, kids. Any other questions for John on this?
I got a question. John, this proposed summary, 155 million Pilgrim, 162 million toll gate. How does that tie into the numbers on the spreadsheet where you've got Pilgrim at 139?
Budget versus cost estimates.
Yeah.
And the numbers that we show on that monthly tracking matrix is strictly, that's according to the memorandum of agreement with RIDE. The established budget that's in black and white versus what you see on our monthly report is what we're estimating right now for on the schematic design.
As a reminder that we're showing still the SD estimates. These don't take into effect some of the major changes that we're proposing.
Yeah, especially the ones that told you.
Especially the ones we told you, so.
So is that why you have the down arrow?
Also, yeah, let me clarify the down arrow, we wanted to just highlight the fact that we are considering, because you'll obviously see that 162 is a lot. more than 140 million. So there's a substantial value management proposal in play right now. We don't have a cost associated with it yet, but I want to make the committee aware that that's being developed. So
So in that 172, the marine, moving marine and welding, that's not in that.
That's not in
it's not in there.
It's off the
There's
162.
other things, but that's a major.
Yeah, that's a major.
And once the DD estimates, once we're fully through them and reconciled, we'll be updating this and we'll provide you with our new.
John and Chris, the bonus contingency in the, stock costs. That's 61 million, that's constant, that's gonna be,
So
it's not fluctuating at all, right?
your $17 million owner's contingency has not been touched to date. So we're gonna have $17 million in cash. That's accounting as part of that 37 million that we're talking about in terms of overage. There's also currently, John, please correct me if I misspeak. We also currently are projecting a $5 million surplus in our soft costs. We're bringing everybody under contract now, so it is within reason that our next report will reflect that as part of our new total values. So that just happens to have we set a budget for soft costs, and we've had a successful bid period with plenty of competition, and we've been able to bring substantial savings in several of our consultants. Commissioning was a big one. So we're at the point now where we have all of our additional soft costs under contract, with the exception of a move manager. So we feel more comfortable releasing that money back into the project.
So it's reasonable to assume that.
I'll say at this time, though, costs are trending in the right direction with if the value management discussion happens the way we hope it to happen today, as well as additional savings are realized as part of the significant work that Steve and his team have done to get marine trades out of there, as well as our surplus and soft costs. And the way that we see the cost estimates currently coming in at, we're trending in the right direction.
That 5 million you're talking about soft costs, if you want to do real 150,000 foot level, so if you had 17 million in contingency, theoretically, if you have 5 million to the good on the soft cost, you got 22 million.
Yes, but.
Right. And it's not, I know it's not literally, but conceivably, theoretically.
It's additional money that can be distributed throughout the project. There's also looking at FF&E, technology budgets. There's a lot of other areas that we're exploring right now. But that said, we want to be conservative in terms of not sharing information that is not 100% vetted out and agreed upon by everybody on the project.
Right. And I would say, I think one of the things we're going to see at both football fields, we replaced those scoreboards about 2 or 3 years ago. Scoreboards are brand new. So it would make no sense to just trash those just to replace them. So if they're usable and they're good, and, you know, maybe build something around them, you know, a nice, to put them in, put Maury Field at the top, so you don't see this little sign on the chain link fence when you don't go. Okay. Any other questions for left field or on their up? Do you have anything else to add?
yeah, I wanted to just note one thing, and this is pivoting to the schedule. So in the report, you have a copy of Inyo's schedule for the tollgate school, and they haven't yet released the Pilgrim updated version, but I can tell you it's going to be pretty similar. If you go to the last page under the section called construction, and it's item C10 where they talk about mobilizing and fencing, blasting. They're now tracking that activity to start in May of 2025. And with a start date of May of 2025 versus what was originally projected at March of 2025.
End of March.
End of March, April. That brings us to a substantial completion. And this is all estimated. We're still developing and working on this, but of the beginning of August for substantial completion of the building. And again, Pilgrim will have a slightly accelerated schedule, but it'll largely be similar. We'll have an updated schedule for you next month. But I think it's just important for the community to be aware that the schedule continues to be refined, and that's what we're currently tracking in. So,
Okay. Any other questions for left field on that? There's no action there. Okay, so the next item is discussion action. Building committee approval of high school value engineering items for left field. And that, we all have documents, right?
Yes, we have two separate lists, one for Pilgrim, one for Colgate. They look like this. The first several pages of each document are colored in, well, they're a light gray. And the light gray color reflects all of the value management that's been reviewed by the project teams and the administration. That's been incorporated into the design documents as of today. And that reflects the cost estimates that we just talked about, right? The numbers that were on the report. And then the items in the darker gray on the final pages are items that have value management items that have been discussed and proposed by the project team since those numbers, since the end of schematic design, that we wanted the committee to see and review and ultimately approve.
As a reminder, when we talk at the school committee meetings, these public meetings, we say that value management today is not remove scope. It's mostly remove things that are probably imperceptible for the average user, of the end user of the building, or for the general public. So we're talking things about, foundation under slab insulation, things like this that are, for us, it's easy ones to pull out. They don't sacrifice quality. They don't sacrifice. It's just a change in design intent. However, these other items that we'd like to discuss do have a little bit more of an impact, right, Charlie?
Yeah, so let's go to the final page. All these items.
Which one are we starting with, Colgate or?
Pilgrim.
Pilgrim.
Yeah, so that's those are the items, well, on the original document in blue. It says, yeah, all the ones that are accepted. Now, based on 7/29/24 budget, it's why we can approve it. Everything from that line down is what we're discussing.
And you'll also notice that there are several items on here that were rejected as part of the first round of value management. And because with the administration and the committee said these are ones that we're not willing to accept at this time. So, just be aware of that as well, that not everything that we propose is accepted. There are rejections of ideas, and that's part of the process.
Right. And then so the committee knows if this committee approves them, or if this committee approves them, it goes to the school committee. The school committee will look at them too and then weigh in.
So I think the new items, I mean, they're similar in nature to the ones that Chris described, where these don't impact the function of the schools. They're items that you're not going to perceive. We think they're good value, but again, they're not reducing the quality of the buildings. They're substituting and removing superfluous items that just aren't necessarily needed.
Yeah.
Nice. Page 4, John, on Pilgrim, line item 102, reduce structural design by a half a pound per square foot, $409,000.
Yeah,
That's one of them.
no, John, please.
Well, I just was structural design reduction doesn't sound good, but it's been vetted by the structural engineer O'Day. And probably the designs started out overly conservative, and then, as things got refined, they think that's it.
Yeah, this is still, even deletion by half a pound, if you know O'Day, this is still a conservative number.
You mean over design O'Day?
Well, you said
I
it
work
not
with
me,
him.
but yeah, over design O'Day,
Can we go a pound and get another 400,000? We get another half pound?
we can take a look at it, sure.
No, really, I mean.
One of the other things we did was extend column lines a little bit and line them all up. That was part of the redesign. So not only did we reduce it by a half a pound, but we lengthened some of the beams and spacing between the columns. So there's been substantial work done there, with stacking columns. Yeah, so.
And I will say we are concerned about potential misinformation around an item like this, because we in the industry know that designs are always generally over-designed and incredibly conservative, and even a half a pound isn't making it any less conservative, but there's potential for an item like that to be misconstrued for someone.
We actually reduced it more than that at Tollgate.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was originally designed at 12 pounds.
Yeah.
And they're down to 11. And there's still a lot of,
With items like,
safety factors built into that.
yeah. With items like that, I mean, it's to your point, Chris, I agree. It's the public will spin it any way that they want, depending on what their agenda is. So it's important that you, administration, fees, us, we have the information to just rebut it, so, you know, that's critical.
I think maybe,
You can't control that.
maybe we might want to consider, Steve, I don't know how you feel about this, maybe having someone from structural there. I think we both know that someone's probably gonna show up that's gonna have experience with structural steel engineering. We think that's from the meeting. Yeah, for the meeting that's coming up, yeah, just in case there's any specific questions they could forward into the committee.
That's the next January, no,
No.
it's for this would be a school committee meeting.
Oh, you mean next building committee meeting?
No,
Next
not
school
next,
committee
next
meeting,
school
which would be
committee.
next
meeting.
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
That's, when, it's not, oh, I thought it was tonight. It's
No,
not
next Tuesday.
It's next week.
Yeah,
Is that
next
possible, you
Tuesday.
think, or you think it's a good idea, I guess that's what I'm.
If you think there's gonna be.
I do,
People there challenging the structural steel.
I think that there will, in my experience with that group, I've seen questions get posed, that obviously come from people in the community with experience in this. So I would just like to have someone who's gonna stamp the drawings and stand by it and say, this is our design and we are still being conservative.
Fair enough to have the resource there, and if you don't use it, you don't use it, but it's eating it, not having it is a problem.
Someone from Dimeo should probably be there too, because they're the ones putting the numbers together.
Well, Dimia there as well. Agreed. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
Any other questions on any of the items? Any of the other items?
I got one on,
Yeah.
on toll gate page 4 item.
Oh, before we get there, anybody have any questions on building? Yeah. Okay.
Item 97, to delete the drainage system underneath the fields. We've seen problems with our fields flooding in the past.
This is over at the baseball field.
Yeah.
And we have no problems over there whatsoever. And we did a couple of test pits over there to make sure. And we talked about, because they're going to be irrigated, would that cause an issue? But that drains very well over there. It's very sandy. We're not concerned.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on building?
The,
Mr. McCaffrey?
it says something on a press box there or something that was removed. Is that on that?
And I believe that is.
I think quite, that's the press boxes at baseball fields, I think was the item that was proposed.
Yeah, that's proposed for Toga, isn't it?
I think it was something that was in the earlier one, for Pilgrim. It might be in the upper portion of that section. Because those were, eliminated back in
That's
SD.
number 48 on page 3.
Actually, we're posing that as an alternate, not as a rejection.
Yeah,
So we will still design and draw.
Yeah.
And get pricing for it, and if there's targeted savings, we'll add it back into the contract. That's one of those things that's much easier to add. We talked about this in the previous school committee meeting.
Right.
47 and 48, the one.
Sorry?
So I think the money, Title 9, it should be in there, 47 and 48.
Okay.
Right, no, yeah, understood.
So those are both alternates, so if we take one, we gotta take the final one.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. All right, any other questions on Toga? All right, now we can move on to Toga.
Just so we are aware, there are two alternates in this one as well.
Yes, lines 52 and 53.
Yes, those are again for items that have been rejected. I'm sorry, they're for the greenhouse and raised planting beds and soil.
That one, you can cross off. That, we don't have those.
That's the
Number 53
Oh,
is,
excuse me. It's a total.
No, it was, yeah.
that was mistakenly put on this list.
Okay, so 53 is not a tollgate issue.
No.
All right. Okay, that's 53. All right,
So we do have the alternates, in for the, press boxes also on this one.
And then again, there's a substantial number of rejections. A lot of these have to do with athletics as
Yep.
well. So I think that's important to note that, that there has been a persistent effort by this community to keep as much athletics built into the designs as possible.
Yeah, I think that shows the stage 2 and what's actually in the proposed schools. I think it shows a commitment to as much athletic facilities as possible. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen 98 to reuse the existing scoreboard. That one's actually newer than the building one. I think it's a year newer.
Good question, Dave.
Yeah.
Page 3, item 63, change the electric service from 4,000 amps to 2,400 amps.
Not feasible.
No,
Yeah.
no.
We've been fighting that. If you know anybody out there that you could hold strength for, we've been fighting that fight for a long time now. We're just.
Is that an RI energy issue?
No, there's a couple things. That was to bring it down from 4,000 to 2,400, but the other thing we're looking at is 2,500 amp services or one single 5,000 amp service. So right now it's in front of IR Energy and we're trying to get that done. Once you're over 2,500 amp, there's a specific piece of equipment that I can never remember what that
Bus
is.
transclosure.
What is it?
Bus
Yeah,
transclosure.
I can never
So
remember.
final
what
check
that is.
last week.
But, we're trying to get that through because that's a substantial savings. So that would happen at both schools.
Who makes that call?
IR Energy.
On the document here, it talks about the corresponding area of the second floor. And I just asked that you walk the schools during passing times and look at the corresponding building floor areas and told you to make sure we have adequate spacing to support, students. And then any students that may be handicapped that are coming and going to the core areas, near the core classrooms. It's worth it. I think we should triple check that because, we want to make sure that we could adequately get the classes in a reasonable amount of time without too much congestion.
And Don, I remember you saying specifically, it's only 5 minutes, right, to get between classes.
Yeah. Less than that.
It goes quick.
And I know Pilgrim's unique in the sense it's spread out on one level. But that corresponding at Pilgrim gives you a good indicator on a large group moving down the hallway. The enrollment is pretty consistent between now and 2 years from now.
One of the changes, and I don't know, it may have been Pilgrim's reducing the track from 8 lanes to 6.
That was rejected.
That was rejected, right? Okay, all right, that's fine.
Yeah, that still allows us to hold
So Ryle, that's right, yeah.
large peaks.
Yeah, we have 8 lanes on the straightaway and 6 on the curve track at tollgate.
Which is enough to hold.
Right, right. But the sprints are typically the.
Right, okay. Any other questions or comments on?
Still one more. Page 4, 104, item 104, provide alternate means of wall protection in lieu of porcelain or ceramic, $348,420. You talking about like going to 16-inch blocks or?
No, what
You know,
is,
it's finished material.
It's an applied
Okay,
material you put on the wall
right.
to prevent, scratches, dents, or
Right.
whatever, instead of the porcelain tile.
it's a big savings, $340.
It is, yeah.
Again, I agree with you, because most of these, the vast majority of these are things you don't really see. You don't, it's the constructability side of things, so it's
And we
not.
don't change the beautiful designs that everybody has seen as part of our presentations. And those are still the same beautiful schools that we're getting. We're trying to figure out every way we can squeeze pennies out of this project to reduce either the ask of the city or cutting programs.
Right, question, I would expect you to have a hard number, but moving the, marine trades program to a freestanding building.
There's many.
That's what you ask.
There's many things to consider.
There are a range.
But there is a range, but low range is 5 million, high range is 12. So what the determination is, what are we saving on ledge in that excavation that we're not doing? We're getting rid of a retaining wall, a parking lot, unloading area, and lessening, we're not cutting the road down by 4 feet as you come around the building. So
That's how optimistic.
so we need to see what exactly that is. And of course, Demio's conservative at this point, and
Left field is conservative.
Steve,
we're taking out-
The architect and Steve Gallagher are pretty.
No, really, and we're taking up 12, almost 13,000 square feet out of the building. So multiply that by the square foot number that
By
Demi is
just moving marine trades.
telling us. And it's.
Yeah, so I
you
mean,
know,
it's
north of
better,
12
It's
million.
gonna be, it'll be somewhere in the middle. It's where-
yeah, I think it's, I mean, at least you can put a number of 5 in your head and you reasonably put your head on your pillow and like say, okay, and if it comes in at 8.5, okay,
This is what I
and we'll know that better as we
talk
approach
about
the-
trending in the right
Right.
direction is.
Yeah.
We're trending in the right, we don't want to give you guys a number yet because there's plenty of things that are still open for discussion. We have conversations with Rhode Island Energy. There's lots more to do, but we're trending in the right direction.
And just talking in round numbers, if we were to sum up all of the pending, new EE items for toll gate, we're talking about just under $5 million in total of savings, potential savings. And that's in addition to the EE items we just talked about. And again, round numbers, and it's just an estimate, that's all we know. And then if you go over to Pilgrim, we're talking about roughly 6 million in additional savings.
So we're making progress.
You're getting there.
It's getting close, it's getting close to
We're getting close.
that target number.
And then as we remember, we've got
Yeah.
$17 million in cash as well.
So it is.
Possibly do not want-
Possibly 22.
Last question. Toll gate, page, page
Now
5,
we have
item
to go get the real numbers.
112, simplify existing tennis court refurbishment, 450,000.
Yeah, there's two things to look at over there. You know, when we first looked at it, there was a question about whether the subsurface was structurally sound, was it sliding off the hill? We've done some work there. We believe, some exploratory work, we believe that we don't have to do a structural subsurface there at all.
Which, so that's what that's.
That's what that is. We're talking about resurfacing everything, new fencing, doing what we need to do, but not going, way crazy.
That's right.
What's that?
Going back to growth, getting up to.
Well, we have to be careful that we have a wetlands issue, so right now we have to concentrate just within the confines of that court. We have a runoff issue there, so that's another thing we're looking at. But this is just about the courts themselves.
Speaking of courts and thinking about the two schools and how they compare to each other, was there concern with the administration over not having outdoor basketball courts at toll gates, but having them at Pilgrim?
We don't have.
There's no-
Yeah, they're not either. But the principals were one of the biggest objectors to that because they were worried about, I mean, security issue too, right? You have people walking on playing basketball in the courts in the summertime and everything else. So they were both in agreement.
They're gonna have an outdoor court, how many?
No,
Pilgrim?
no, there's
Neither
no-
school?
neither school have outdoor basketball.
Yeah, they become operational. They're generally get taken out of most schools that we build because they become an operational for after hours. Not because we have the supervision required in the courts.
I think what Mr. Kravitz is referring to is it's listed on the list as
Yeah.
getting basketball courts
In
and buildings.
stage.
That was stage 2.
Stage
Stage
two.
current says no. There's
Oh,
no,
it's under the 155 million, that's why, so
yeah, but the headings are a little
That-
different.
that
Stage
was-
2 and current.
It was what I was looking at. One was
it's
getting.
confusing the way it's written, yeah. Must be that.
So we have that into, we have that in specifically because we want to show, there's been a lot of talk about, and I think our school committee chairman Gallagher brought this up at this meeting with the town council the other day. There's been a lot of talk about, what was in stage 2 versus what programmatic spaces that I think that are still in, and we wanted to highlight programmatic spaces are still in the building with the exception of these changes, which are, we went, and a substantial one is going from 2 practice fields to 1 practice field. So that is an important one that we, and of course, when going from 6 outdoor tennis courts to 5 outdoor tennis courts and outdoor basketball courts to 0 outdoor basketball. Those are definite removals of scope. So we want to be clear about that. And that was the point of having,
I'd like to think too, that Mickey Stevens would help, to augment what we might be losing here, as a city space.
I agree. And one of the issues was with athletic facilities is, rent them, having generate revenue, which was never our plan. It was never in our plans. And that's really a city function. That's not a school department function. Cranston Stadium and Cranston Westfield are maintained by the city, not the school. So, they rent them, they take, and it's not as lucrative as you think, because you beat up turf and now you're spending $1.5 million on turf, right? So, but that's not our question for us. We'll have, I spoke to the athletic director in Kingstown. You guys looked into Pontiac, we lose a lot of kids to those two districts. We lose some of them for sports, for athletic facilities. Our facilities will essentially mimic what they have, be slightly better actually than what they have. If we're losing kids to North Kingstown and Pontiac because their facilities are better, if we build the same facilities, then negates that side of the argument. So then maybe there's another reason why you go. But they'll be modern, they'll be lit and all that other stuff, so.
You think that'll reduce people going out of district?
If you ask a lot of the coaches, they're convinced that it will.
I thought you could only leave district for academic.
Yeah, sure.
But
You know?
yeah.
There's
No,
a-
no, I don't know.
so-
I mean, so just
So-
for sports facilities, a
You
child
can't leave
can.
just for sports, but you can, Kingstown has a pathway, business pathway.
Right,
I think it's
pathway.
three classes, I think, or
But
four
so do
classes.
we.
Yeah, but it's,
Right.
the
So
way
if
school
If they
choice
don't
works.
have it, they can go to another district, but now they.
But it
don't.
still has to be pathway reasoning first, right?
Right.
But
and
ride
then
rubber
it's-
stamps.
The low
For the
bar for the
athletes.
pathway, you just go.
So
Yeah.
it's a running joke that, half of North Kingstown soccer team is from Warwick, and even though we have business pathway here, there's a business pathway there could be seen as slightly different, and RIDE will just rubber stamp it and
Yeah,
let
the
you move on.
pathways have become school choice.
Yeah, yeah.
By another name, that's what they
When
are.
we ask for transcripts to make sure they're still in the pathway, they don't have to provide us with that information.
Right, so it is, yeah, really, it's a financial suck on the districts. And
And that's
the
why I
way-
think you see so much competition.
Yeah.
And from athletic coaches, to make sure that they get the facilities that they believe is going to keep athletes, student athletes in districts.
And they recruit.
It's an arms race.
Yeah.
It's an arms
Exactly,
race.
yeah. And what it is, you tend to poach the higher cost districts, the higher per pupil expenditure districts. Right, so if my per pupil cost from, not your budget of our kids, but your ride is $7,000, and I poach a kid from Warwick and if they're 8,500 comes to me. It's a business proposition, right? There was a meeting several years ago, you may have been in it, previous superintendent, where one of the superintendents from another city said, I make a profit. That's interesting, right? And so that's why it should, if the kid's gonna go, the kid's gonna go. They should go with the money that it costs you, not the sending districts per people cost. It should be the receiving district's cost.
And the big
Because
argument.
I make
about
money.
it- Yeah, and then to Dave's point, it's Warwick taxpayer money that's funding
Yeah, so,
kids to be educated in out of district schools.
all right, so anyway, we're off track there. So, all right,
Another day.
yeah. Not that I have strong feelings on that.
So discussion action.
Yeah, so, if there are no other questions, we're looking for a motion to approve, what do we call this item? The, high school value engineering items as presented by legislature. Moved by Mr. Holmes, second? I'll second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Next item, discussion action, tie and bond phase one environmental report. We're gonna table that, right? Because we don't have it yet. So should we be tabling these, both of them, until next month?
Yeah, we'll table both of these items. We don't have the final report in hand, and we don't have the, for this is item 5 now.
Proposal yet, right?
We don't have the cost proposal for the actual solar boards and.
We can't move to
So we
phase
don't
two
have any
during phase one. All right, so last item is discussion action, PLA negotiation, pro-let field.
So similar from our standpoint, in my discussion with Attorney Conley yesterday, his draft of the PLA is complete and now in the hands of the trades for review. But it's still pending review. I don't have
So we don't have anything to report.
nothing to vote on, nothing to report. By the next meeting, we should have something, and we will have Attorney Conley here to speak to it.
And we'll have a copy of that prior, right?
Yes.
So we can read it and vet it. That's
right.
Question it.
All the same.
All right, so there's no action to take on that either. Okay, so that's tabled for the next meeting. All right, public comment. Carlisle, I know you're typically not a member of the public. Okay, not this time. All right. Yeah.
Public comment.
All right, so, all right. Committee member request for future consideration? Oh, yes. Jenna.
My, laptop, I work solely on a laptop I've had for about, however long I've been in this for 8 years, 9 years. It is dead. It just happened yesterday. So I'm working without a laptop right now.
So I have,
I will be utilizing the one in the conference room and we're about going around the subcommittees until then, but I talked with Scott about this and hopefully we can.
Get you.
I have a we're looking about $1,200 for the computer that she needs. I will bring it to Mr. Testa for emergency approval as soon as I get the hard quote. It's okay with the committee, and then bring it forward for formal approval after that. But it's gonna be very hard for her to get it working on without a computer, so.
Carry pigeons, just send it to your address. So,
I think if anyone needs the best equipment, it's Jenny. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right, so next meeting will be January 8th. 2025.
We having a Christmas party? Serious?
That's why I have to watch.
How about we do a breakfast on that day? We bring in breakfast.
Okay. January.
Larry, all right.
Yeah,
A little belated.
Is that okay?
All right, so looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by second by Mr. Holmes, all in favor?
That's all right.
We're adjourned. Thank you. Stop recording.